Ho, 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 it's Christmas, everybody, and you know what that means. Even more horrible presents from well-meaning friends and family members who still haven't gotten their heads around Amazon wish lists. This time last year, we trawled the internet to find the absolute worst gifts to give to someone you know who likes video games, but as it turned out, we've barely even scratched the surface, so we're back once again to explore all of the things you could buy for a loved one that have the potential to completely ruin their Christmas. We will preface most of these entries by saying that we're sure there are some people out there that would be more than happy to receive these items as gifts. However, unless they make an appearance on the old letter to Santa, it's probably best to steer clear. With that out of the way, I'm the thoroughly festive Ben from TripleJump, and here are 10 more terrible gifts for the gamer in your life. Number 10. Board games. Before we get into this one, we're very much aware that there are a lot of people, our writer included, who very much enjoy games of both the video and tabletop variety, so if you are one of those people, then this entry is not aimed at you. If your intended recipient isn't about that board game life, however, then a gift of Monopoly, Cluedo, or any other item of similar ilk is likely to just give them horrifying flashbacks of the time they landed on Park Lane and their dad took all their money and properties. Board games based on video games might also seem like a good idea, but by and large these tend to be aimed more at the seasoned tabletop aficionado with a passing interest in video games, meaning complex rules that will take hours for everyone to get their heads around. Not only this, but board games also come with social obligation, and whilst we video game fans do enjoy the company of other people despite what the media would have you believe, we prefer to do so on our own terms, and usually in a way that doesn't involve James getting upset because Ashton sunk his battleship. Maybe you'll be better at Scrabble, friend. Number 9. Gaming-themed homewares. If you're anything like us, you probably own more mugs than you know what to do with, and that's likely because people know that you like video games, and they seem to think that a safe option for a gift is an appropriately themed ceramic drinking vessel. However, the collection of mugs that balances precariously within your kitchen cupboard and threatens to crush you every time you try to make yourself a drink is merely a small part of a much larger problem: gaming-themed homewares. The thing about gifting homewares is that people tend to be rather picky about the items that they put on display in their homes, and regardless of whether they're a teen whose creativity is confined to their own bedroom or an adult with their own place, it's likely that their aesthetic is built around a bunch of carefully curated items. If you do choose to gift a cushion cover, piece of wall art, or tasteful candle, you'll need to make peace with the fact that it's likely to end up displayed in a generally unoccupied part of the house at best, or re-gifted to another unwitting gamer at worst. Gift vouchers are always appreciated though. I've had my eye on an air fryer for a while. Number 8. Energy drinks and gaming supplements. If you're well immersed in a video game, sometimes it can be hard to motivate yourself to do those little things in life that keep you going, like eating or getting a good night's sleep, and we've probably all experienced times where we suddenly realize it's 6 p.m. and we haven't eaten yet, or it's 4 in the morning and we have to be up for work in 3 hours. If you have someone in your life for whom this is a frequent problem, it may be tempting to gift them some sort of energy drink aimed at gamers. However, we implore you not to do this. Not only is the jury still out on whether or not energy drinks are harmful, but it's also probably not a great idea to encourage your loved ones to miss out on precious sleepy times or skip meals. We also advise against getting gaming supplements because, in all likelihood, the reason your mate can't get that much coveted Victory Royale is less to do with any vitamins or amino acids that he or she might be missing, and more to do with the fact that they just need to get good. No offense to anyone peddling these kinds of things, but no amount of caffeine or L-theanine, whatever that is going to prevent some 12-year-old with 1,000 hours of experience from shooting us in the face. Number 7. Third-party peripherals. Picture the scene. It's Christmas morning, and you're feeling rather smug because your nephew, Kevin, asked for a brand new PS5 controller, and not only have you managed to get him one, but you were able to save yourself a load of money by getting it from your local market instead of buying the expensive Sony one that he'd put on his wish list. The man on the stall said it was basically the same thing, and by getting the official one, you're just paying for the branding, right? Well, Kevin's now very upset because it turns out that you do very much get what you pay for, and he keeps getting shot by his friends because the left analog stick is stuck and he can't do anything but spin in a circle. Christmas is ruined, and it's all your penny-pinching fault. Indeed, third-party peripherals might seem like a good way to save money, but they are almost always inferior to the official versions, whether they're lacking in certain features or are simply not constructed as well. So, next year, when little Kevin begs you for a new controller, dig deep and shell out for the real deal, and you might just restore the little lad's faith in the holiday. Number 6. Statues, figurines, and plushies. Again, we're going to caveat this one by saying we know there are people who collect miniatures, replicas, and the like. So again, if you are such a person, this is not aimed at you. If you know that your friend, relation, or significant other is a fan of a particular video game, then it might be tempting to gift them some sort of statue or figurine of their favorite character. This is all well and good if they're a collector of such items, though even if they are, it's a risky purchase. But if they're not, then they're probably not going to have a whole lot of use for it. Not only are they kind of impractical, but statuettes and action figures can oftentimes be very expensive, so you could well end up spending tens, if not hundreds of dollary-doos on something that just isn't going to get the love it deserves and will probably end up tucked away in a cupboard never to see the light of day. Plushies also fall firmly into this category, and although they're usually quite cute and generally not as expensive as figurines, they'll still only go down well if the recipient is super into them or is under the age of about 6. Number 5. Mystery boxes. In theory, gifting a subscription to some sort of mystery box service is a great idea. Someone who actually knows what they're talking about when it comes to video games will select a number of items each month and ship them out to your loved one. It takes all the hassle out of actually choosing a gift, and the recipient will get to keep enjoying their present long after the festive season is over. The trouble is that not knowing what's in one of these boxes is a bit of a double-edged sword, as yes, it is exciting to see what's inside, but it's also quite disappointing if you end up with a load of merchandise for a game or franchise that you don't even like. Furthermore, though some of these subscription services do send some half-decent items, a lot of the time they just fill their boxes with crud that no one else wants, and for every cool t-shirt you get, you're probably going to end up with a dozen keyrings, bottle openers, and other assorted knickknacks. They're an incredibly expensive way of gifting tat, and you'd be far better spending the tens, if not hundreds of dollars a subscription costs on literally anything else. Well, not the things on this list, obviously, but you know, other stuff. Maybe us. Number 4. VR headsets. There are a few ways in which gifting a VR headset can quickly turn Yuletide cheer into Yuletide jeers. The first is if you give one of those cheap cardboard setups that's literally just a phone holder for your face. Honestly, has anyone actually used one of those beyond quickly demonstrating it to Granny to show that her money hasn't gone to waste? The second is gifting a proper VR headset, such as a PlayStation VR or the Oculus Rift, only to find out that the recipient doesn't actually own the necessary console or a powerful enough PC to use the thing. Though it's easy enough to ask a friend or relative if they own a PS4 or 5 without rousing too much suspicion, it's a little harder to gauge whether or not their Windows machine has all the necessary gubbins to get the Oculus working, so unless they've specifically asked for one, it's probably best to avoid it. Finally, even if you gift a decent VR headset along with the necessary hardware to get it up and running, there's still the risk that it will induce a horrible bout of motion sickness, and nobody wants that on Christmas, do they? Number 3. The wrong console. Before we get into this one, we absolutely acknowledge that any console, if given as a gift, has probably cost the gifter an awful lot of money, and regardless of whether or not it was the console they were after, the giftee should still be very grateful. With that said, it's still incredibly disappointing come the festive season to end up with the wrong console. We're not talking about receiving an Xbox Series X when you're firmly on Team PlayStation, because both systems are great and you're set for at least the next 5 or 6 years, console gaming-wise. No, we're talking about the confusion that can arise thanks to manufacturers who seem intent on naming their consoles as similarly as humanly possible. Historically, there have been the likes of the NES and the SNES and the Wii and the Wii U, which have confounded parents all over the world. And more recently, Microsoft have gotten in on the action with the Xbox Series X, the Xbox Series S, and the Xbox One X. And Xbox One S, I assume. The moral of the story here is that if you're planning on splashing out for a console, be sure to check its exact name. You'll save yourself a whole load of money and embarrassment. Number 2. Almost anything from Wish. As fun as it is to get hold of Adam's credit card and go on a Wish spending spree, at least until he realizes what we've done, we can't say we'd be particularly thrilled if we received pretty much any item from the e-commerce site as a gift. Though there are some legitimate products that can be purchased from Wish, they are few and far between, and the site is largely populated with knockoff tat. It might seem tempting to purchase a VR headset for less than a tenner, a portable console that looks a bit like a Switch and claims to hold over 20,000 games, or a teeny tiny Bluetooth keyring that lets you play games on your phone, but we must ask you to refrain. There's a good reason all of these items are so cheap, and that's usually because they're mass-produced crap that doesn't do a fraction of the things they're supposed to, if indeed they work at all. After all, Sony haven't priced the PS5 at over £400 for the fun of it. There's a great deal of work and expensive parts that go into the manufacturing of a good games console, so while the Game Station 5 might well be a fraction of the price, it's also a fraction of the quality as well. Number 1. Video games. Nope, you heard that right, dear viewer. It is our humble opinion that one of the worst Christmas gifts you can buy for the gamer in your life is, in fact, video games. Worry not, I can assure you, I haven't had too many sherries, and there is method in my madness. It might seem like a brilliant idea to purchase a nice, shiny new title for your nearest and dearest, but there are a number of ways in which it could go horribly wrong. First off, you can't guarantee that whatever you're going to purchase isn't something that they already own. And even if you do manage to avoid duplication, there's always a good chance that you're gifting something they're not going to enjoy. Whether you've gone for the latest Call of Duty title when they're more of a hatoful boyfriend kind of guy or gal, or you've just selected a game that's utter ploppers, you're setting everyone up for a hugely disappointing Christmas morn. If you are absolutely dead set on buying your loved one a video game, make sure it's something that they're interested in playing for a console that they actually own. Or, better still, just go with a gift card. Trust us, they'll thank you for it. Happy Christmas, everyone.